What if the first responder wasn't a person? What if it showed up in under a minute, had a view from above, and streamed live video? What if it was able to assess hazards and never once ask for backup? Welcome to the area where 911 doesn't just dispatch units, it launches responders. And if you think this is just future talk, think again, because it's already happening. And that's what's coming up next on TiPS Today in Public Safety.
Welcome to TiPS Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Welcome to TiPS Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. I'm a NENA certified ENP, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I bring you the latest, most informative, and sometimes aerial-based views on emergency communications. Today I want to take a look at something that used to sound like science fiction, but as of now is very real. In the public safety industry, it's called DaaFR, or Drones as a First Responder. Programs are gaining popularity, and in fact, CBS News Colorado highlighted their drone responder program that's now in effect in Fort Collins, who has a unique approach where police, fire, and even utilities are leveraging drones to get eyes on a scene before boots even hit the ground and start a response. Now let me say that again. Before a patrol car turns a wheel, before a fire truck pulls out of the bay, drones are already on their way, beating the response units to the scene by several minutes, in most cases. What's actually happening? So this is a little complex, so let's break this down. CBS's story discussed how Fort Collins recently added drones to the first response ecosystem. Now, they didn't do this as a novelty. It wasn't just big boys and their toys. This was added as an integral operational tool. And overall, that was no easy task because several areas had to be addressed prior to the program's commencement. These included things like rapid launch facilities from fixed locations in the community, the ability for remote piloting from centralized operations, obviously real-time video streaming back to responders, and the situational awareness analysis of all the data upon drone arrival. Now, of course, this is not an effort to replace responders. It's an effort to augment and inform them. Instead of rolling blind into a scene, units are getting that critical first look information, including detailed data like live overhead views, confirmation of the incident type and severity, early identification of any hazards on scene, and better overall situational awareness, which allows for better resource allocation. Now that's all good, but it's a massive shift because historically, 911 has always been a game of incomplete information. But now with the availability of next generation 911 and multimedia information, things like this are starting to fill in the blanks. The next generation 911 connection. NG 911 is where things start to get really interesting because drones are not just flying cameras, they're data collectors. That means video, thermal imaging, telemetry, location data, and environmental context. And all of that is exactly the kind of data Next Generation 911 was designed to handle. But the uncomfortable truth is, most ECCs are not ready for it. As an industry, we've been asking for more data. We've been talking about video to 911. We understand the value about IoT sensors, and we talk about connecting everything. Well, here it comes. And drones are one of the first real-world examples of that data tsunami actually arriving at the front door. The operational shift. So let's talk for a minute about what's really changing, because all of this is much bigger than just some cool tech. This changes decision-making timelines. Instead of call comes in, dispatch, units respond, units assess, you now have call comes in, drone launches with units dispatched, scene is assessed, and unit response is adjusted accordingly. That's a completely different workflow, and it raises some real questions. First of all, who's watching that drone feed? Is it inside the ECC or somewhere else? How about the call taker? Do they see it? Or is the dispatcher analyzing it? And obviously, what's the AI role in analyzing all of that data in real time? Because once you have video, you don't just have video. You've introduced new interpretation problems, and that's where things can either get very powerful or very messy. The, "oh, this is complicated" part. So let's hang on for a second and inject a little bit of reality into all this. Because as cool as this all sounds, it is not plug and play. There are challenges. First and foremost, you've got airspace and FAA compliance issues. You're not able to launch drones just anywhere. There are rules, waivers, and restrictions that exist. For example, on a recent episode of Live PD, Daytona Beach police wanted to launch a drone looking for an individual in the woods who wandered away injured from a car crash. But because they were adjacent to the Daytona Beach International Airport, they would directly interfere with low-altitude airspace. So do you endanger passenger jets with 150 people to look for one individual who may have wandered off? Yeah, probably not. Then there's privacy concerns. And even though you're putting eyes in the sky over neighborhoods, and that's likely to raise some eyebrows, you've got to remember that police helicopters have been present for quite a few years now, and are being utilized more and more in local agencies, with several of them having local aviation departments. Then you've got staffing and training. Who flies it? Who monitors it? Who owns it? And don't forget about the integration into CAD and their workflows. You need to think about the fact that if drone video isn't integrated, it just becomes a side screen that nobody uses. And then comes the favorite, the now what problem. You see something on the drone feed. It's relevant. Now what do you do with it? Because information without action is just more noise in the center, and that's something we don't need. Reality check. You have to remember drones are not a solution. They're a resource. They can be a multiplier. But if your workflows are broken, drones will just help you fail faster while documenting it from the air with much better video. If your ECC's not prepared for new data, drones will overwhelm you. If your policies are unclear, drones will expose it. But if you get this right, you'll reduce risk to responders, you'll improve situational awareness, and you'll be able to make smarter decisions faster. That's not just incremental improvement, that's transformational change. The bottom line. This story from CBS News Colorado is absolutely a cool local success story. It highlights a 90-second response time to over 90% of the community by drone. And they're boasting closure rates of up to 30% without any further response. You can't argue with those numbers, and when public safety is strapped for financial support, sometimes spending just a little on innovation helps you recoup a lot from your budget. But it also serves as a very important preview. A preview of what can happen when technology, policy, and operations actually align on something. Drones are becoming a first set of eyes on an incident, and the agencies that figure out how to integrate that into their NG911 ecosystem, well, they're going to have a serious advantage. The ones that don't, they'll be the ones trying to catch up while everybody else is already in the air. That wraps up today's episode of TiPS, Today in Public Safety. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope this story provided some value to you. For more updates and insights, follow me on social media at Fletch911, and you can visit 911tips.com for a complete archive of my previous episodes. You'll find my blogs online at Fletch.tv, and my professional site is at Fletch911.com. Stay safe, thanks so much for listening, and if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. We'll see you next time. Take care.
You've been listening to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way,